Thank Global Terminals for hosting us today. Let me thank the mayor for his leadership in this regard. He's been a strong advocate since he became mayor of not only infrastructure work, but the port region and the jobs and the economic opportunity that it provides. And so I'm thrilled to be with him. I'm thrilled to be with our friends from the ILA, who you'll hear from shortly, who are one of the most progressive unions and very engaged in expanding the growth, something that we are working with them on as we deal with the Waterfront Commission. But certainly their growth are tremendously good paying jobs and important to the economic vitality of the country. And I'm thrilled to have Assemblyman Chevroletti here, who was my state director at one time and is a great advocate on infrastructure issues in the New Jersey Assembly. So being here at Global Terminal takes me back to 2012, when I proudly stood with then the late Senator Lautenberg, Congressman Series, and Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood, and our many partners at the Global Container Terminal to announce an $11.4 million Tiger grant for the South Hudson Intermodal Facility. Projects like these are one of the best of the best. They have to be, because Tiger is one of the most competitive grant programs out there. Getting that $11.4 million wasn't easy, and we couldn't have done it without some of the partners here today, like John Atkins, the president of the Global Container Terminal, and Virgil Maldonado, the president of Local 1588 International Longshoremen, as well as Mayor Davis. It takes a team to put it all together, and it was an ambitious project. New Jersey has put these federal dollars to work, helping to double the terminal's rail infrastructure and purchase 2 state-of-the-art electric gantry cranes. The project is integral to expanding and readying the global terminal for the expansion of the Panama Canal, which would bring larger ships carrying more cargo to and from our shores. I like to emphasize it's not only cargo coming in, but cargo moving out as well, which means American products being exported abroad. Today, with the federal Tiger grants alongside the deepening of our harbor, something that I have spent the better part of my congressional career engaged in when I was the congressman representing the port region, and we had all of the challenges of harbor dredging and deepening that had 5 years of backlog permits, and we were choking and losing cargo to Halifax, Canada, that had a deep water port, to Norfolk and to others, where I was able to change the dynamics of that dredging and clear the backlog, find new beneficial reuses for contaminated dredged soil, and do the most expansive harbor deepening project in the history of the country. We are poised, and Global is poised for the expansion of that Panama Canal. With the federal Tiger grants alongside the deepening of the harbor, upon full expansion, the Global Terminal will be able to be capable of 250,000 more containers each year. Projects like the South Hudson Intermodal Facility sharpen New Jersey's competitive edge. And everyone here knows that ports play a vital role in our economy. If you don't know that, then you should have been sitting in the line of traffic that I was, trying to get in here behind all the trucks until we came up with a creative way to go around the trucks. But our ports are gateway, and I was looking at the license plates of the different trucks. It just shows you that the regional context of the importance of the port. Our ports are gateways to global commerce, energies of economic growth and jobs. Our success here in Bayonne also reminds us why we, as a nation, make investments in major infrastructure like ports in the first place. By modernizing these shipping terminals, these funds did more than make way for more cargo. We also made an investment in our workers and in our environment. We brought hundreds of good-paying union jobs to our community and improved workplace safety for the longshoremen who run this port every day. They are decent, family-wage jobs that allow our longshoremen to support their families and support our nation's economy. Because the job benefits don't stop here as well. A modern, efficient freight network helps businesses all over the region get their goods to market. By allowing these businesses to grow, we're creating new employment opportunities throughout New Jersey. And what happens in New Jersey is critical for our nation's economy as a whole. The Northeast Corridor region contributes $3.7 trillion to the nation's GDP. That's 20% of America's entire gross domestic product generated to this region. We also reduce, I know you wouldn't believe it, but we also reducing truck traffic on our crowded roadways when we have these rail connections, cutting down on carbon pollution and improving air quality. Now, there's an old saying in Washington that there are no Republican roads or Democratic bridges. And I hope that legacy of bipartisan support in this field would continue in the Congress. And given all the rhetoric we heard from President Trump about infrastructure and jobs during this campaign, I thought that would be the case. But we have learned that sometimes the president's rhetoric doesn't line up with reality. The Trump administration's budget proposal doesn't rebuild our transportation system. It ultimately leaves it to languish in disrepair. The president has proposed we cut $2.4 billion, 13% of all federal transportation programs. That includes eliminating Tiger grants as a whole. So what we're celebrating here on the verge of being able to complete and what it means in jobs and economic opportunity and growth and a better economy and a better environment would be totally gone for any other project. So I do not care for that type of budget, nor do I care for a budget that ends the New Starts program that would totally derail the Gateway project. Of course, the Gateway project is the ability to build 2 new Trans-Hudson tunnels that are critically needed, century-old plus tunnels that were dramatically affected by Superstorm Sandy when salt water got into the tunnels. Endangering efforts to replace the 100-year Portal Bridge, to build new tunnels under the Hudson, and improve rail service up and down the Northeast Corridor. If we have a failure of the Northeast Corridor, which could be a real eventuality in the absence of having Gateway, the new Trans-Hudson tunnels, we will face costs of $100 million per day in lost time and productivity. And keep in mind, we won't be able to look to Amtrak to fill in the gaps. The Trump budget also cuts rail funding as well. So I don't think, as the OMB director says, that these investments are being cut because the projects are localized. If you are creating $3.7 trillion and 20% of the nation's GDP, that isn't local. That is a project of national significance. So quite frankly, I would have expected a more sophisticated understanding of how real estate works from a Manhattan real estate mogul. And the biggest cut of them all comes in the form of our president's plan to sell off our air traffic control system to the private sector. And that's pretty outrageous. U.S. airspace is among the safest in the world. It's also critical to our military and national security. Selling off our air traffic control system to the highest bidder isn't just irresponsible, it's downright dangerous. So let me just say, I look towards this budget, as far as I'm concerned, as the senior Democrat on the mass transit subcommittee, is dead on arrival. I'm not going to permit the elimination of the Tiger grants. I'm not going to permit the elimination of New Starts. I'm not going to permit nullifying the possibility of a new Trans-Hudson tunnel. These are critical to our region. These are about jobs and growth and economic opportunity and the nation's economy as well as our own. And I will use every tool that I have as the ranking Democrat on that subcommittee to stop these cuts. I think we should look at what happened in our country after years of underinvestment. The U.S. transportation network, once the envy of the world, is now ranked 12th globally. And that number translates into real impacts for our workers. It means less construction workers on the job, rebuilding our infrastructure. It means less work at the docks for longshoremen. It means less opportunity for businesses to reach new markets and to add new employees. Cutting investment in transportation doesn't save us money. It costs us in lost wages, in lost jobs, in lost economic opportunity. And so we're here today to dramatize the importance of what, in fact, is, I think, a national imperative. And to speak to you about some of their own experiences, John was telling me this before as we were looking at the aerial photo in the back is John Atkins, the president of Global. Well, Global Container will remain operational, and it already has the money and the grant to finish off what it needs to do in the rail connection. The question is not will it remain operational, whether it and other terminals, whether the entire port region will continue to grow and capture more of the global marketplace. And, you know, talk about a bad fiscal policy. The United States government, at my urging, has made a multi-billion-dollar investment in the dredging, in the channel deepening, in assisting in raising the Bayonne Bridge, in everything that was necessary to continue to make the New York, New Jersey port region the mega port region of the Eastern Seacoast. Now, we have natural competition. We have competition with Halifax, Canada, has a natural deep water port, spent over $1 billion in the Port Huron Tunnel, and can easily be one of the elements, if we cannot continue to be competitive, that can draw away cargo. We have other locations. So in my mind, it's not a question as to whether Global will be operational. They'll be operational. The question is whether growth and the ability to continue to be competitive at a time that we already made such an investment is going to continue. And so I can guarantee you that this budget as is will not pass because you'll need 60 votes in the United States Senate. And I will harness enough of my colleagues to make sure that there is a negotiation that this bill as it is isn't going to pass. Any other questions? If not, thank you all, and thanks to Global for hosting us today. I appreciate it.